Don Gurmila Magat and Minister, fellow speakers, and Joe. It's a huge pleasure and honour to be here this morning and to share with you my views in relation to rural Ireland. I prepared a written speech and then I tore it up. And I have here just a couple of bullet points because they're statistics on which I think is based this conversation. Dusach báda is féidir labhairt an Gaeilge, bhfuil sé sin ceart go leor má labhairt an Gaeilge. Mar rugadh agus tógadh mise ag labhairt Gaeilge, bhí ar an béarla a ólam, mar sí béarla an dára teang go tá agamsa. So mar sin bí mise ag smuoineh an Gaeilge agus a labhairt an béarla. And somebody once said to me, actually the first or second day I arrived in the Senate about 5 or 6 weeks ago, and I stood up and I said, everyone else was speaking, so I said, geez, I might as well say something here. So I stood up and spoke, and when I sat down, the guy beside me gave me a dig in the ribs, and he says, look, I know the way you spoke in English, that you're rare to speak in Irish. So whatever he meant by that, I don't know. And I think that's really important in relation to this debate, this conversation today, and it'll give you a sense of probably where I'm coming from. Because we're all coming from a space of our own experiences. And this is a PowerPoint presentation. You ready for it? Yeah, good. Because we got to interact, guys. All right? This is a PowerPoint presentation, but it's not up there. It's there. The best PowerPoint presentation ever was not created by Microsoft. It was created by you. What's between your ears and what you put in there. So all I am here is the conduit. Thanks for whoever. Yes, that lady there said it. You're right. I'm the conduit. And you create the slides. And I'm going to give you one guarantee. Only one. You will remember every single one of the slides you create. Not only this week, this month, this year, but in time to come. Because they're your slides. And every single one of you are going to have a different deck of slides. So are we ready? Yes. You ready to go for it? Yes. Okay, guys. This is the journey. A little bit about me. I'm from Connemara. Grew up speaking Irish. I had to learn English. That was a challenge. I found that difficult, quite frankly. I ended up going to a school in Galway, a Jesuit school in Galway, and that actually challenged me in my thinking and the Jesuit philosophy on life and so on, which I found, quite frankly, very, very, very helpful. So very rural Ireland, GA and all of that was very much part of who we were and what we're about. My parents left school by the age of 10, never went to secondary school. They had not a vision for us going to secondary school as kids. They had a vision for us as integrity, hard workers. That was it. They immigrated. They met each other in the Crownell Cricklewood. I'm sure some of you have heard of it. Yeah? Been there? We know it, Joe. They met in the Crownell Cricklewood. And the rest is history. They decided to come back to Connemara. And my father worked on building sites. And my mother used to clean the beds and the rooms in what's now called the Connemara Coast Hotel. So that was the environment I grew up in. In my day, driving or going from Carrow to Galway City into Ayr Square probably took about an hour. Now, it can take up to an hour and a half. The traffic going into Galway City. Okay? At that time, roughly 50% of the families in houses in Connemara emigrated. Still the same. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. But quite frankly, in 50 years, I don't know how we changed that much. And when I was coming in, I just sat down there, down towards the back, and I saw moving from the past to build the future. Yeah, we got to see where we've come from. And we got to, and the Minister had a nice conversation over coffee earlier this morning in relation to vision about where we're at and where we're going. And that's really, really critically important. And being an entrepreneur, I'm a risk taker, but I believe in people. Companies don't grow. I've been a judge for the Irish Entrepreneur of the Year and a judge for the World Entrepreneur of the Year. I've seen a whole lot of businesses. I've never yet seen a company growing. I've never yet seen a business grow. People grow. Rural Ireland is about people. Anything you ever do, it's about people. It's about working with people. So, this is a PowerPoint presentation. You're creating it. I've probably about 10 minutes left. I don't wear a watch because 4 years ago I got a heart attack. My heart stopped. And I said, Pádraig, don't let the clock define who you are. Let your purpose in life define who you are and what you are. Because success is not what you have, it's who you are. So I readjusted myself. And one of the readjustments was not to wear a watch. So I'm dependent on Don or Joe or some of you to say, sit down. Okay? So, I'm going to look at this in just a couple of areas. And Minister Simon Coveney, your colleague Minister, and Minister Hogan, in 2012 or so, put together a group called Céidigh, chaired by Pat Spillane, the Kerry footballer. And some of the information and facts I'm taking from that. And I'm just looking at primarily three areas. Three areas that I think will give a picture of what rural Ireland, to some degree, is about. Not everything. You know, the most important thing when you're running a business, when I was growing and building Air Ireland, we went from 0 to 130 million turnover in about 3 years, and the company went really well, best regional airline in Europe and so on. In some ways a big deal. And I don't mean a big deal, small deal. Because it wasn't about me, I didn't build the airline. I don't have what it takes to build an airline. I was one of 450 people that built an airline. I had one small role. No more important than anyone else's. None of us can do everything. And we think we need to get off the stage quite fast. This is a community thing. So, in relation to employment, rural unemployment between 2006 and 2011 increased by 196%. In 2011, 69% of all the unemployed were in regional Ireland. 69%. 7 out of every 10 people unemployed in our country were in rural Ireland. And a third of all households in towns, 1/3 of them, nobody in that house was working. Now, I'm taking this from statistics from the Céidigh 2013 report, which is a great report. In relation to business, 42% of the Irish economy comes from Dublin. In the UK, 20% of the UK economy comes from London. And we say London is UK is London-centric. Yet it's double that in Dublin. Between 2006 and 2011, and this is something I'm really passionate about, 91.4% of all the businesses that closed in Ireland, small businesses that closed in Ireland, were from rural Ireland. That's over 9 out of every 10 small businesses that closed in Ireland in that period were in rural Ireland. And we've over 200,000 SMEs in Ireland, small to medium-sized businesses. The vast majority of businesses in rural Ireland are small to medium. They employ on average 7.3 people each. There's about 2 million people working in Ireland. And about 1.6 million are employed by SMEs. Now, honest to goodness, if I were the government and the Minister for Finance, I'd kind of look after the people who actually collect most of the taxes for me, because they collect over 80% of all the taxes that's brought into our country. That's brought into the Department of Finance, and that through the PIY, through VAT, through corporation tax. They don't get away with a 4% corporation tax. I'm going to move on. I'm going to talk a little bit about education briefly. Third level education. I'm going to take Galway, my own city. In Galway, 48% of the population have third level education. In villages surrounding Galway, 26% have third level education. That, to be honest with you, may be a bit of an extreme. I don't think so. It's quite more significant. The closer you are to a university or a third level institution, the better the chances that people are going to go to third level education. In lifelong learning, for people aged 25 years and over, It's 60% lower in rural Ireland than it is in the cities. And in 2011, employment rates were 50% higher if you had a third level degree versus second level. That might start giving you a sense of why you've had the level of unemployment in rural Ireland. Some sense of it. So what's wrong? I actually went and there's a fantastic research facility in Leinster House, and I actually, because I was doing this anyway, I got them to do research for me on rural Ireland, even before Joe kindly invited me to come here. And I worked through that, and I've done my own research, some extra research myself, and I looked and said, what do they do in Scotland? Have they got a better rural strategy there? Or in Wales, or in the UK, or in Finland, or in places like Cyprus? And to be honest with you, I could quote a whole lot of things that was going fine. I don't think they do. I really don't think they do. So what's wrong? And what's wrong is it's a kind of a subjective answer. There's a couple of things. Rural Ireland is getting more and more isolated. It's getting more and more cut apart. Quite frankly, a big reason I started a Donegal-Dublin service in Iran those years ago, and a couple of people mentioned it to me earlier about them flying to Donegal, was my passion for rural Ireland. A great man called Anthony Gillespie was in charge of Donegal Airport, and he approached me and said, would you ever start this service? It was the back of the envelope sums, and I said, okay, Anthony, let's go. And the passion and support that I and the airline got from Donegal was incredible. Because, you know, Donegal, even though it's geographically connected with the rest of the country, it's an island. I see it as an island. Yeah. And you're every bit as important to our country as any of the D1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10 or whatever else, or as Galway or any other place. And that's my passion, and I can't help it. So intermingled with the slideshow, you're going to get a little bit of passion like that from time to time. I hope you don't mind. The various government strategies have been fragmented, at best, uncoordinated, and piecemeal. I think it's fantastic that the current government have a minister that's focused in that area, that's going to help pull the whole lot together. I've spoken in the media in the past, going back 2-3 years. I sent out a tweet about 3 years ago and saying we've a two-tiered society in Ireland, a two-tiered economy in Ireland. One that focuses on Dublin and the rest that, well, as one fellow said once, to hell or to Connacht kind of stuff. So, our focus has been on the issues, not on communities. And I think we need to change. We need to focus, like I say, companies don't grow, people grow. Communities grow. And I'm going to give you examples of how this is happening in Ireland. Because we've got an incredible country. We've amazing people. I just saw down there, Eucaria Meehan, Donegal lady, is in charge of the National Research Council. Fantastic lady, and they have a booklet or a page down there. And we're regarded as the 8th most creative country in the world. Actually, I think we're even higher than that. We've amazing people. Amazing people. And a lot of that comes not only from rural Ireland, but the cities, because it's not an either-or. It's the best interest of the cities that we have a vibrant rural Ireland. And rural Ireland cannot be a place that you go for your weekend break on. It's more than that. So it is. A couple of things of what's happening. The Food Harvest 2020, in my view, is a fantastic idea that was introduced by the previous government. There are great opportunities in that, and particularly for rural Ireland in relation to food harvesting. I'm going to give you an example. There's a Kingston family in West Cork, a small little company called Glenellen Yogurts. You know them? Yeah. They had an 80-acre farm. It was too small for them for dairying. They weren't making money on it. So they had a choice to sell the farm, to somebody else who had 80 or 100 acres, so the 200-acre farm would start making money, or they would try and do something. They started making yogurts, selling it on the local market. And now they're an international company. And you know what else is happening, which they hadn't planned? It's now a tourist centre. People are going there to see a living farm, how they actually make the yogurt. That's how it happens. I can give you a whole host of examples. I'm giving you one there. Because of time, I'm moving on. The marine industry is an amazing industry. I used to be on the board of Bord Iascaigh Mhara. Minister Coveney invited me to go on it a number of years ago when he was Minister for Fisheries. And in that, we produce in the region of 750 million a year in relation to fish and fish products in Ireland. That's a drop in the ocean compared to the Scandinavian countries, particularly Norway and Scotland. We're something like 10% of where Scotland is at in many areas. There's so much opportunity there. And you know, our problem is we cannot meet the demand in Europe. 350 million of this goes to the EU. 150 million we consume ourselves, and the rest of it we export to places like China. And we cannot produce enough of it. There's such demand for it because of our fresh seas. Another area is tourism, which I'm passionate about because I spent a number of years on the board of Fáilte Ireland as vice chair. And something that happened there, Minister Ring actually was actively involved in it in the day a number of years ago, was the Greenway between Mulranny and MacGill. You know it? Yeah. Fantastic. A real community gig. You know, Fáilte Ireland, in their wisdom, Sean Quinn, who's CEO of Fáilte Ireland, Donegal man, and John Concannon, who we spoke about earlier, who was leading the 2016, the centenary anniversary. He and a few others, a guy called Paddy Matthews, and Fiona Monaghan, started creating the Wild Atlantic Way. Now, that was not a huge investment. Most of the investment was in marketing and signage. That is a hugely successful venture. Why? Because, and actually I met and I spoke to Fáilte Ireland about this in preparation for this talk this morning. I said, guys, why is it working? Why is it so well? Because you're not going to get it all in stats. Why? Because they focus on sustainable tourism. They've got an acronym called VICE, V-I-C-E. Now, to me, that could mean a lot of things, but to them it means this. Visitors, they focus on visitors. They focus on the industry. They focus on the environment. And fundamentally, most important, they focus on community. And now, communities have embraced the Wild Atlantic Way. You do a Google search on Loop Head in Clare, and you'll see what that community is doing to regenerate itself. There's a village I forget the name of it, it's about 6 or 8 miles away from Loop Head. Pardon? No, it's not Carrickholt, it's another one. I cannot think, it's one I hadn't heard of before. But they started a business there, and it's the first time in over 100 years that a new business has been started in that village through the Wild Atlantic Way. So, it's down to communities. And in actual fact, Dublin and centres of population are critically important for rural Ireland, as is rural Ireland critically important for places like Dublin, Galway, Sligo, Letterkenny, and so on. Absolutely critical. But they've got to work together. And what you do is you empower the people to actually go and make it happen. Thanks, Joe. Sorry, Don. So, in summary, that's the PowerPoint presentation. I've 2 minutes left. Tá mána uachtaí besochtan deis blorglib agus morekenship she gaelge on teango duchushatagum, and it's up to us to make a difference. And we all make a small difference is going to make a big, big change to the future of our country. And in 50 years' time, whoever is going to be here, I certainly won't be here, don't know if you'll be here, Joe, but in 50 years' time, let's hope that the people who are here at the MacGill Summer School and say, wow, look what has happened in the past 50 years. That you can get from Carrow to Galway in 15, 20 minutes rather than an hour and a half. That you can get from Donegal to Dublin in 2.5 hours rather than anything between 4 and 5 hours. That you can actually connect with the cities and the cities can connect with us, and that we have a vibrant community like what they've developed in Fáilte Ireland on the Wild Atlantic Way. Thank you.